Let's talk about a line that we've all heard at work: be a team player. Haven't we heard it? Be a part of the team. It's all part of the team. Don't do work in your own silos, right? It sounds very reasonable, right? But what happens when you look around and realize that there is no real team which is standing with you? There's no real team that you're working with. There is no collaboration, there is no trust, but people are working their individual stuff in their own corners, in their own workstations that have been assigned to them, right? There is stress amongst people, and people are covering their own backs. People are only holding themselves accountable, and they're only responsible for what is given to them. Well, on a line, it's good that you're responsible for what is given to you. But when you have to collaborate with others, there are certain dependencies that one person is linked to the other person's job also. And when you don't support the other person, everything comes crashing down. And when that happens, you'll often hear this word that be a team player. Act like a team. I normally call this as a huge red flag because I've seen it play too often in real estate and other corporate setups. Why I say real estate? Because I've worked in real estate for like over 20 years. Over 2 decades I've been part of the real estate world. But yes, in the other corporate settings, in other industries too, whenever I've worked in, I've seen a similar kind of a situation. So if you've ever felt like that you're working in a group but not as a part of the team, then this video is for you. Stay tuned with me till the end of this episode. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, You with Sonia on Thinking Thursdays. And like I mentioned, I'm going to be talking more about this red flag where people say that be a team player, but then there is no team around you. And I'm going to break down this red flag of be a team player when everyone is working in their own individual silos. So grab your cups of coffee and let's get started with the episode. But before that, hit the subscribe button if you've still not subscribed to my channel, as it's also a big motivation for me, right? When I keep seeing more and more people subscribing to my channel, which means that you're very serious with your career, you're very curious to know the other aspect of your professional life. Let's get started. Once I was working for one real estate firm. I can't take the name, of course, where the sales, CRM, and marketing was supposed to be working together. But here's what was really happening on ground. Sales would sit on their hot leads, which were given to them, and they would follow up on those leads as and whenever they used to find time. And it was not like when a hot lead is given to you or any inquiry is given to you, the sales are supposed to basically turn around that lead and talk to that customer, make the first contact with the customer within like the 30 minutes of them receiving the lead. They should even get in touch earlier, but if they're caught up in some other meeting or whatever, they should try and at least have a conversation with the customer, give a call to the customer within the 30-minute period. Now, they'll delay it. They'll make the call whenever possible, and then they will not share the feedback of that inquiry that they've attended to. They'll not give any feedback to the marketing, because when you give feedback, marketing then can improvise on the campaigns, and accordingly then the lead quality can improve. But they'll not give that feedback, and then they'll start blaming the marketing. The lead quality was bad, the customer was not aligned, and then they'll also start blaming the CRM, that because there's a lot of bad mouth publicity going on, that the CRM is the weakest, they are not taking care of the customers after the sale is done, hence the customers are very skeptical. So for any lost sale, they'll either blame marketing or the CRM, but they'll not take the blame that we did not do our job, right? And also what was noticed was that marketing kept pushing unrealistic campaigns because one was that they were not getting any feedback from sales, or for that matter from anyone within the team itself. And somewhere down the line, marketing also got a little lazy. They were not pushing the sales team or the CRM team to give enough feedback so that they can improve the campaigns. Now, CRM on the other hand, they were already burnt out because they were getting blamed for delays, and they were not included in any kind of strategy meetings or even being recognized for whatever sale was happening. either through word of mouth, either through referrals, because they gave a good service to the existing customer and they referred another client. So they were not even being recognized for the sale that was coming from the referral. So their morale came down and they said, okay, fine, let them do their job. We'll do just our bit of the job. We're not concerned what sales and marketing are doing. And here, the leadership kept saying that we need to be more collaborative. We need to work as team players. Now, let me also paint some of the common pictures that we see in our day-to-day work life. You are praised in a meeting for, say, teamwork, but behind closed doors, your colleagues are taking credit for your effort. Happens? You ask your team members for some help when you need it, and they say, that's not my job. You suggest some kind of process fix, that this process does not work. What if we change the process, as that will be more effective? And then you're told that, stay in your lane, stay in your limits. This is not your job. Why are you doing this job? This is not needed. You fix your issues. Don't get into, setting the processes because, you're too young for it, or, you need to be there to start getting involved into process making. Or you're added to a project last minute without any background, without any context. And then when it does not work, you get blamed for it. That, you did not do your job right. And every time I see that, the team building sessions are only on paper, but in reality, everybody is just protecting their own KPIs, their own roles and responsibilities that have been given to them. Now, I wouldn't say that these are all bad people, but I would just say that they are broken team cultures. Because let's be honest here, real estate or no real estate industry, any kind of industry which is fast paced, they breed this kind of culture when everyone is under pressure just to hit some numbers. Your KPIs, your key performance indicators are very, very individual and they're not very collective. They're not linked with other people's KPIs. And mostly I've seen that the recognition systems, they reward loud voices and not teamwork. And here also I would say that leadership hasn't invested in cross-functional alignment, because if they do, a lot of their problems will get solved. There is no culture of information sharing within the company. I have witnessed it in most of the companies that I've worked, that if you need some information, you'll have to send reminders and probably reach out to the next chain in command to say that, I really need this information. Can you please ask your team to share this with me? I'm part of the company. I'm working for the company. I have the right to do access to all of this information. But there is no culture of information sharing. People want to just hold on to whatever information that they have. I just wonder, is it going to lay some eggs that are going to be useful for the company in future? People are more concerned or more worried about not getting blamed than getting it done right. Happens, right? If we take on this or if we do this, we'll get blamed for it. So I have to just protect myself so that I don't get blamed for it. Rather than they don't focus on that, I want to get this right. And if I have to get this right, I need other person's, help or input or collaborate with the other person so that whatever I'm doing, I get it right. They're just kind of protecting themselves and I don't blame them. It's the company's culture eventually that needs to change. It's the leaders on the top that need to set that tone for the entire team to follow. I've often heard the lead or the manager or the leader saying things like, just do your part and don't get involved in other departments, just stick to what is being given to you. And then suddenly in the next team meeting, they'll ask you, why didn't we work together on this? It sends out very mixed signals, right? In that environment, be a team player becomes like a performance line and not like a real expectation from you. Now, here's the thing. You can't collaborate in a broken system. That's clear. Period. You can't work if there is no collaboration. If that culture itself is not promoting collaboration, team spirit, it's a broken system, you really then can't collaborate with each other. You can't build team spirit when there is no shared direction, there is no cross-functional support or respect, and there is zero emotional safety. Sometime back, I was consulting with a company, amazing product, great presence, but the sales team hated marketing. I think I don't know what it is between sales and marketing that they hate each other, and they don't realize they are two sides of a single coin. They have to work together so that both of them benefit out of it. They don't realize that. I don't know what grudge each department has with the other, but if they actually work together, miracles can happen. So I was consulting for this company, and they had great product and good presence they had in the Indian and even the UAE market. Now, but the sales team, they hated the marketing department. Marketing thought CRM was useless. CRM was as it is under stress all the time, because first they were trying to perform, but they were not getting their due recognition. They were being ignored in every meeting. Now, here's the kicker for you. Every manager kept telling their teams, guys, you need to be team players once again. How would they be team players when there are no joint goals? There are no shared dashboards. There is no space to even talk to each other unless it's a crisis. So it wasn't a team, I would say. It was survival of the loudest in the room. And if you're someone who actually wants to do things the right way, trust me, it feels very awful. You try to bring people together, but then you're met with either silence from the other side, or worst, people look here and there. There is side eyes going on. You suggest a team huddle, and someone says in the room, we don't have time for that. Happens, right? It's happened with me as well. And then it makes you question if you are the problem. Well, let me tell you, you are not the problem. You're just trying to build a team in a place that has not created a team. I remember working with a CRM executive who was always yelled at, who kept getting, shoutings and criticism by the sales team, by the marketing, by the leaders for not updating lead status fast enough, for not returning clients' calls, for not maintaining the customer's happy index. But no one realized that maybe she needs training, she needs handholding, maybe she's stressed with a lot of work on her table and she's not able to do justice to that. She used to stay back very late. She used to try to figure out things on her own. But one day, eventually she asked, that why doesn't anyone talk to me before any reviews are happening? Why am I not part of those teams? So now you realize that we throw around this word team for say so casually, but we don't include people in the decision making, in recognition, or even in conversations. Let me tell you what real teamwork should look like. Yes, even in high pressure industries, I think real teamwork or real team bonding, what it should look like. And let me tell you, this I'm sharing with you, not in theory, but because I have been working for last close to 30 years now. So I have corporate work experience of close to 3 decades. And hence I'm just sharing this with you with whatever I've observed or I've faced also. So if somebody in your team is in sales department, or there is another department and you're working say in marketing and there is a sales department, so leaders should ensure that the sales is sharing the insights with the marketing before they are planning the next campaign, so that they're able to take the inputs, they're able to take the feedback and improvise on the next campaign. That will save so much on the effort, the money that is being put on, the time that is being put on, and you'll save a lot and you'll get good quality leads, and which will reflect in the closures by the sales team. And marketing should loop CRM on what are the client objections coming in so that they can be prepared, and vice versa. CRM should also loop in marketing and sales on whatever are the customer objections coming in, because sometimes to get a sales will overcommit on what will happen post sales, which is not part of the policy, and then whatever is the blame coming on is for the CRM, because salespeople have done the sale and they've moved on, right? So I think when the exchange of dialogue happens, feedback sessions happen, brainstorming sessions happen, that's when teams will start collaborating together, and they'll realize that it's a thin thread that they're all tied together with. And when something goes wrong, people should come together to discuss, okay, fine, this went wrong, or we lost this sale. Why did we lose that sale? The customer came to your office and shouted and blasted everybody. Why did he do that? where things went wrong and figure out solutions for it. Instead of saying you did something wrong, you were not in place, because of you we lost the sale, or because of you the customer is not very happy. So instead of pointing fingers, if you all sit down in the room and try to find solution, I'm sure it'll be more productive than playing, the blame game, or trying to impress your bosses that, see, sir, it's not because of me, it's because of the other person, right? Because you are only eyeing your promotion. And I think leaders need to get a sense of it, that who's buttering you and who's actually trying to get the whole team together and take the team together with them. Because here, leaders need to create some shared goals between the team and not just give them individual roles. Of course, individual roles are important, but when you give them shared goals as well, that's when the collaboration will be more healthier. The team spirit will, literally come out, will ooze out of them. They will then realize that one person's success is team's win. If I'm succeeding, but eventually if we have a shared goal, everyone will win for it. And here, I think when incentives are made, normally I've seen people focusing on incentives just for the sales team, but companies and leaders need to realize when a sale is happening, it's a collaborative effort of everyone coming together. Be it sales, be it pre-sales, post-sales, CRM, marketing, finance, everybody is together involved into it. They're all servicing the customers at some touch point or the other, right? So I think incentives should be for every team for their contributions that they're making. Of course, sales will get a little higher percentage of that whatever cake that you're cutting, but I think every individual, when he's part or she's part of the whole incentive thing, then they feel that, yes, they're also getting recognized, be it financially or be it giving them star of the week or star of the month awards. I think all these things, they make a lot of difference, because then it makes it look like you being fair and you're playing equal with them. Something more that comes to my mind is that I've seen this, like, do a 15-minute cross-functional huddles with your teams, maybe every morning, or maybe every Monday morning, or every Saturday morning if you've got 6 days a week, or Friday mornings if it is a 5-day work culture. Any one day of the week you can pick. Either it's the first day or it's the last working day of the week. If you do these 15-minute cross-functional huddles every morning, you will see a lot of difference. People will talk to each other. They'll share updates with each other. There will be no confusion in the room, and you'll be able to close more deals. Business will grow. The happy index of not just the customers, but also of your team will be very high. And this is not because some miracle has happened. It's purely because they are functioning now as a team. And now let's look at a scenario that maybe you're not in charge yet. You're not leading a team, right? You're part of a team, but you're not leading it, right? So people might ask you why you're doing this. You're not my leader. You're not my boss, right? But you can still start changing the energy around you. You can build micro collaborations with the other people. Find one ally or one person in another department. Start syncing with the other person on a regular basis. You can start here, right? Start small. Ask real questions like, how can I make your job easier? Or how can I help you do this quickly? It'll surprise people, but in a good way. And if you feel that the other person was very helpful and he collaborated with you in a good way, acknowledge the contributions of others. Don't try to eat away somebody else's credit. If you've been part of the marketing campaign and say somebody in sales gave you a brighter idea of, what should be the theme of that marketing campaign, no harm in acknowledging that person that, hey, your idea was really fresh. We're thinking of deliberating on it, and I'm sure, it'll be great for the marketing team because your input was really good. Now, when you start doing that, when you start recognizing your own team members, then that sense of that I have to step on you to, go for success, that stops eventually. And if you find that there are gaps anywhere, I think then you need to just call out and say that, for example, I think we are misaligned, we are not aligned here. Can we talk through the expectations now here? So when you start talking to people in a way that you're not fighting, You're not competing, but you're just purely to, work together so that everybody saves time and the project is a success, your team gets recognized. So if you start doing that slowly, gradually, you're building a culture that you want because people will mirror your behavior. If you are consistent, others are bound to follow them. So start with small bridges. If sales and marketing are not talking to each other, be the person who connects them together. Even if it's like create a WhatsApp group and let them sink in to get feedback on each other's work, whatever that they're doing. And if somebody is helping you out, you publicly say thank you to them, that their contribution gets highlighted and you're not just taking the credit of that. Start asking better questions like who's handling this? How can we align better? How can we work together in a better way? Make it subtle, but don't make it like a big thing out of it, because your impact will show that it's a big impact that you're achieving. And never play the blame game. When things go wrong, you should focus on fixing the issue and not pointing fingers on each other, because that's how trust will start building in. And if the team starts trusting each other, let me tell you, then that team is unbeatable. So you could do that 15-minute, either a what went wrong call or are we track on things, and this should involve all the departments all in together, no PowerPoints, no ego, just real talk happening in that 15 minutes. And you will find there'll be open communication, there'll be better team spirit, there'll be reduced blame game happening, and it'll actually improve your business, it'll improve the performance of every team member. And this will not be because of improved lead quality or the best campaign or whatever, but it'll be because now the team is working together very happily. Teams are collaborating with each other. Before I end this episode, I just want to say, so if you are told that be a team player, but the system is not supporting that, call it for what it is. A red flag, but also it's an opportunity for you. Be the one to start building a team, even if no one else is doing it. Because real leadership does not wait for titles and permissions. It starts with how you treat people, how you show up every single day at work. So be the one who starts creating a team you wished existed in your company. So if you've ever felt alone while trying to build a team, drop in a comment, because I see you. I've been there. If you're someone who's navigating the real chaos of your professional life, especially in the high pressure industries like real estate or some other industries, be it finance industry, be it NBFCs, be it hospitality, I've captured a lot of these truths, lessons, and behind the scene realities in my book, Career Chaos and Coffee Stains. It's written for professionals like you, people who are ambitious but honest about the messiness of their journey. So you can grab a copy of my book, Career Chaos and Coffee Stains, from Amazon. I've dropped the link in the description below. So if you've ever felt stuck between what the textbook says and what real life demands, this book is then for you. And if this episode resonated with you, please like this video and share it with all your friends and colleagues in your known circle. And also subscribe to my channel here for more ground level leadership truths. Have a great day, everyone. And I'm going to see you in my next video. Bye-bye.